I was just making sure because I'm going to be real honest with you guys. Me smoking weed all the time has not helped my attention to detail. So if I'm ever lacking on something, just tell me.
I tell you what, that weed has definitely helped in the group chat for the fantasy league. I'm like,
I thought so.
Oh, the
Christian's
picture,
high right now.
the
for
pictures
sure.
of fucking Tom Cruise.
Well, okay, so I put that in there expecting anyone to react to it, and then I would immediately be like, yeah, he's 60. Like, it was stupid, but like...
And then you
but
double
then-
down, and people are just like, what?
Well, no one responded. I was like, what the fuck? Like, no one's going to say anything? Not a single person thinks it's weird that I put a picture of Tom Cruise? Now it was lingering, so I was feeling weird. So I had to say something about it. Like,
Oh, you painted yourself in the corner, man.
yeah.
Welcome back, everybody, to Rough Draft Research. I'm AJ, here with the Gurus. I'm going to keep bringing that up. I'm going to say it every week. We got Christian, and we got Daniel,
Hi.
Darther. In the house, we're both rocking some basketball shirts, but don't get it twisted. We're here to talk some Dynasty fantasy football. So we're going to start our series of divisional breakdowns, starting with the NFC South. We're going to kind of just preview everything from the coaching standpoint all the way to positions, defense, offensive line. We're just going to try to break it all down as much as possible for you guys. So that said, the NFC South, shall we start with the Carolina Panthers, everybody?
Yeah.
Meow.
Oh, what is that? Breaking news?
Oh.
Baker Mayfield to the Carolina Panthers? Oh my gosh. Sam Darnold finally has some competition over there. So we're going to start. I'm going to break it down from the coach's perspective over here. So obviously we got Matt Rule ruling the offense. But really, Ben McAdoo is running that. And I don't know how much you guys know about Ben McAdoo, but killer mustache.
Nice.
So kind of just to break down his play scheme, he does kind of do a spread offense, a lot of first read. Don't expect a lot of necessarily running the ball with one running back. Likes to get the ball out of the QB's hands quickly and into his playmaker's hands. One that he did pretty well with, Odell Beckham Jr. So we know he can supply number one receiver. So maybe looking over at DJ Moore. Baker Mayfield, assuming that he is the better quarterback in that quarterback room, pretty bad when he's forced to make the decisions, but he's great on the first read. As I mentioned, Ben McAdoo likes to go to the first read. We also know that Baker Mayfield can supply a receiving running back, as we saw in Kareem Hunt. So hopefully, first read, hopefully a healthy CMC. I think maybe that kind of gives it a little optimism between the big-time playmakers, but after kind of going into some of the numbers, I feel like I'm not too excited on supplemental roles, such as Terrace Marshall Jr. So unfortunately, I might be out on that, but Ben McAdoo's success has come from the Packers with Aaron Rodgers and the Giants with Eli Manning. So I don't know if we have that kind of caliber of quarterback in Baker Mayfield. Definitely not Sam Darnold, but maybe Matt Corral? I don't think so either. But that's kind of the overview I got, so I'm going to kick it over to you guys and see what you got to say.
Okay. Well, you want to do a little bit of the position groups?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. I kind of, typically do what I always did. So I started to dig into the offensive line. So if you want to do that and build out like a team always should, we can go ahead and do that. Last year, Carolina Panthers ended the season as the second worst offensive line by grade, according to PFF. Not good. Only one of those members is coming back. Right tackle Taylor Monton, 77.8 grade for him last year. So yeah, they're going to be relying on a lot of people who weren't there last year, but they're upgrading in a lot of places. We know in the first round they took the tackle, and I'm not going to try to pronounce his name right now.
Iguana?
Yeah, I'm just not good at it. I don't like messing it up, but I practiced a lot before the draft and not before today. But he's incredible. He should slide in, immediately start at left tackle. It is worth noting that he was much better against the run than pass. So that'll be interesting to see how he kind of develops into being a left tackle in the NFL. But he'll slide right in there. Other upgrades along the offensive line, they went with Braden Christensen at left guard, who's a 10.8 point bump from their previous left guard. Bradley Boozman, who's a 6.7 point bump. And Austin Corbett at right guard, who's actually a 16.7 overall grade bump from their last guy. So I think this offensive line could be a lot better than last year. I think it could help out Baker Mayfield when he does ultimately win the job. But I just think they were very, very bad last year. So even them upgrading, like, okay, you're going to be the 22nd worst line, and that's still an 8 positional upgrade for you. Like, it's just not a good look. So I don't think they're going to be great, but I do think they are improved and could maybe give Baker a little more time.
Hell yeah, it doesn't hurt getting that Super Bowl champion in there at the guard position. So Austin Corbett.
That's true. He's been there.
Hell, he can be a leader on that offensive line. Well, I kind of want to get into a little bit of the skill position, some of the fantasy football stuff, and then we can get back on the defensive side to see how they're doing on the cool side of the ball. I love defense, man. Like, when I watch football, I watch defense. But fantasy football kind of is ruining my life right now. running my life right now. So, yeah, you throw Baker out there. And what are we talking about? Like, if he gets a starting job, when he gets a starting job. Like, Baker's fucking way better than Sam Darnold, right?
Yeah, he is.
This is crazy. 100%. So, I mean, last year he was the quarterback 25, and the best year of his career was quarterback 16. And we're looking at a guy who had the 5th fewest pass attempts in the league last year. So, you know, his fantasy finish is likely to go up. When you look at Carolina, they had 100 more attempts than Cleveland last year, yet they had fewer passing yards and fewer touchdowns. So it looks like he could probably take them in the right direction. But if we're talking about 100 fewer attempts, Baker was 4th in sacks last year, and he had 100 fewer attempts than the number 1 and the number 2 guy. So, like, on a per attempt, he was getting sacked a ton. So even though they weren't really pressuring him that much, he just wasn't making good decisions. He just didn't have a good year. He was injured. He was 3rd in bad throw percentages. So he's got to make, you know, a step in the right direction. I personally think we've seen the worst out of Baker, and we might have seen the worst wide receiver group out of Baker too. So you have to consider he's got the safety blanket in CMC if he's healthy. Obviously, we know DJ Moore is amazing regardless of who's throwing the ball his way. So I don't have any reservations about Baker. I think he could be a top 12 quarterback. I think he's about to have the best quarterback finish of his career. I do think he improves on that QB 25, no doubt. And it kind of feels like he's a missing piece in this offense. You know, we've made jokes about Denver, you know, loading talent into their offense without anyone under center to utilize it. And Carolina is not exactly the same, but there's a lot of potential that's unrealized in this offense. And I think Matt Rule's kind of on the hot seat. So Baker's going to need to cook up a storm this year to keep things rolling.
Well, yeah, with both of them kind of in the hot seat at that. So.
Yeah. Contract year for Baker too, so that could throw a little extra on the
sauce.
fire. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to make too many cooking jokes. But you guys have anything to throw in there? A little, get me off my high horse with this Baker stuff, or what?
No, I mean, I may not be as into it as you are, but I'm into it. I think Baker instantly makes DJ Moore a more attractive option than he was. He finished as the 17th receiver in PPR leagues, and I think that could go up if Baker does exactly what you're saying. You'd think Robbie Anderson would go up as well, but we'll see how they get along after all that. But yeah, I think Baker can move this offense, and like you said, the quick decisions, having Christian McCaffrey, that's really the Jenga piece here. Is if Christian McCaffrey's healthy, the Panthers are better. If he's not, then they're not. So that's what we need. I know it sounds dumb and obvious, but like if he's there to give Baker that immediate check down, that superstar that he knows he can just throw it to, they're gonna be really good. I think Baker can do that. If it's not all on him, it's not all on his back to make the offense work. But if it ever becomes like that, or we already know he can't handle pressure the best, if this offensive line does kind of stay where they're at, because regression would be hard for them, then we could be in for a pretty rough year. But I'm more leaning towards like a decent finish for the Panthers. I don't know if it's enough to save Rule's job necessarily, but I think they'll be decent for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it. I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of one piece away. Do you guys remember how pumped we were when Sam Darnold went there?
Oh yeah,
like
for sure.
Wasn't that last year?
Yeah, like I was trying to trade for him, and the guy who had him wouldn't let him go.
Yeah, people wanted the TMJ rookie hype was all about the
Joe
Sam
Brady.
Darnold and the Joe Brady, and like those guys are gone now, but the ballers are still on this team. You mentioned CMC. Obviously, everybody knows this guy, but Baker had an 80% completion rate to the running backs, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt last year. So he can keep the potential, that kind of niche role he has as a pass catcher going, because he's already demonstrated that he's capable of doing that. We brought up Robbie Anderson, who was the wide receiver 48 last year. I think he's got to do better than that. His best career year was wide receiver 18. And Baker, in his best year, supported 2,000-yard wide receivers in Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry in 2019. So I'm not super excited about Robbie Anderson, but he has to improve on the season he had last year. I think at his current value, I think he's a pretty good buy. And no one was really expecting him to reunite with Sam Darnold and it just be awesome, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that was going to happen. Sure, obviously he says some crazy shit, or whatever. He speaks his mind, which, let's be honest, that's great. You should speak your mind. Mm-hmm. Who cares? But at the end of the day, he's out there to play football. They'll make it work, and no one else is keeping him off the field, so he's going to get looks. Unless his dad makes like a video of Baker Mayfield looking directly at him but not throwing the ball to him. Then it might get weird.
Then it could get weird for sure.
Hey, I will throw out Sterling Shepard on a McAdoo team. 65 with 105 targets, 683 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So 2016 with the support of Odell Beckham Jr. So
I like that, man.
I actually, I don't know if I'm stepping on any toes here, but I tried to pick a potential sleeper and a potential league-winning sleeper for each team. And speaking on that, I don't think it's going to go to Robbie Anderson. My sleeper is Terrace Marshall. ADP of 196. Like, why not go for that and go for the guy that's not already talking shit about his quarterback on his offense? You know, like we were like you're saying, we were just excited about Sam Darnold on the Panthers. One of those reasons was Terrace Marshall, and now we should be more excited about him because he's got Baker Mayfield. He's better. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, he's got to work his way into that offense and kind of prove that he belongs. And he had a rocky rookie year, but I mean, ADP of 196 in the average Dynasty startup right now. Like,
It's
I mean,
free
that's-
money.
Yeah, just go take him. Just see.
Yeah, for real.
It's weird.
I mean, yeah, he went into that rookie year with an injury and then had the concussion and missed time and the offense that was struggling with Sam Darnold on it. And so, yeah, like this, it feels like they're leveling up and there's no way he's no way he repeats that from last year. He's a lot of people are talking about him in both the spectrums.
I was going to say, that was a weird way to say Shy Smith.
Oh,
No, just kidding.
shit. So I'll hit DJ Moore, little details on here. He was a wide receiver 18 or 17 last year, as you mentioned, and his best season was wide receiver 16. So he's coming off 3 straight years, 1,100 plus yards, but only 4 touchdowns. And basically, last year there were only 2 guys over 900 yards that only got 4 touchdowns, and it was him and Darnell Mooney. So it keeps happening year after year, but that shit's got to break, right?
Yeah, you would think so.
So he's a hell of a wide receiver. He just got the 3-year extension, so he's got to take it all the way. Plus, we support our Maryland whiteouts in this podcast.
Must love Diggs.
Must love Diggs.
And Moore's sitting there with a ADP of 40 right now in Dynasty startups. That's a wide receiver 13. I think that's kind of a steal for Moore, who's proven that he can kind of do it with anybody. And yeah, maybe we're running down the same rabbit hole as we did last year, thinking that the quarterback going to Carolina is going to be better than he is. But I do like it again, and I'm into both Moore and Marshall. In fact, my league winner sleeper was DJ Moore.
Nice.
I think you could steal him a little later and just ride him, but it's going to depend on the offensive line and Baker Mayfield.
Hell yeah. Well, DJ Moore, he's coming off of back-to-back years with catch rates in the 50%. So it's got to be going, man. Fucking league winners all over. I don't know. I was putting CMC, man. Like, people are sleeping on him and
I mean, that's
Dynasty
fair.
startups. But that's
I put
like
him
cheating,
in there.
right?
Yeah, I threw him in there, but it was like, you can't, like, I don't know. It doesn't count.
I think my boy AJ over here, who picked up Baker for nothing, is about to be very happy that he did that. But
You go, dog.
fuck, dudes. I think I gotta say we can get out of Carolina, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, sounds good.
Or well, you want to talk about the defense?
I didn't really have a ton to say about the Panthers defense.
Hey,
Yeah.
bring back JC Moore or JC
Yeah,
Horn.
that's
Let's
JC
go.
Horn.
Oh, yeah, JC Horn.
Exciting. I mean, like, we can definitely do it. I was really just gonna, because they didn't really change that much.
No, I
mean,
got
they-
Xavier Woods, 5th-year option for Brian Burns, and extended Dante Jackson, and then they hit.
Yeah.
So after going heavy the past couple of years in the early parts of the draft in the defensive side of the ball, they kind of went back to the offensive side of the ball. But yeah, nothing like no fireworks.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could be better. The return of JC Horn is going to help, but there's just not a ton of other superstars on this team. I mean, Brian Burns is very good. I know there's another huge name I'm missing, but so there's like 3 guys there. I think they'll be better, but I think I'm not super convinced that they will. I don't
think so.
It's a toss-up to me, and that's why I'm not overly excited about it.
Yeah. Obviously, J.C. Horn is the biggest part, but they lost Hassan Reddick and Daquan Jones and Stephon Gilmore, whatever that's worth.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel to me like picking up an extension and a 5th-year option and getting Xavier Woods doesn't really equal out, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't see that much of an improvement. This team it feels like they're headed in a direction, the right direction. Fuck, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
All right.
They have a lot of wiggle room, I guess, of where I think I think they could be like a playoff contender-ish, like not make the playoffs, but be in the hunt late, or be a bottom 3 team. Like, I think it really is going to depend on how this roster goes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, speaking of bottom 3 teams, you guys ready to go to Atlanta? Just kidding.
Goodness.
We'll discuss it, and then we'll make that decision.
That is, for sure.
We'll head over to Atlanta, and man, I just trying to read about Arthur Smith, and it just leads me to questions, because there's not much you really gathered from this last season with the personnel that he had. It's a 12 personnel guy used to a primetime Derrick Henry. We did see some life from Cordero Patterson, so who's to say 24th touchdown percentage in the red zone with Kyle Pitts seems odd. So I'm just going to pose a bunch of questions. Can Tyler Algier be a goal line back?
Yes.
Can Drake London be an alpha receiver?
Yes.
Yes.
Can Drake London be an alpha receiver with mostly the same offensive line that allowed 200 pressures last year?
For sure.
I mean,
I don't
can
know if they'll win a lot. but he
Desmond
can do
Ritter
it.
and Mariota use their legs?
They're a lot fresher than Matt Ryan.
Yep. So
True.
with that, I mean, a 12 personnel guy, they did add Anthony Fursker,
Hey.
familiar face to the Titans, but I don't know, man. I was trying to figure out
Never
this.
done nothing.
I'm trying to figure out this offense, and I can't through the research of Arthur Smith. So I'm gonna kick it over to you guys, and we'll kind of dive into it and see what we figure out here.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, you already mentioned it, and it's gonna be another team that the offensive line can make or break this team. They finished 2021 ranked 27th at the end of the last year, and preseason ranks actually have them worse. They ranked 28th going into the season. And that makes sense to me, because the Falcons apparently went with the if it ain't broke, don't fix it attitude. However, it is broke. It's been broke for a while. You need to fix it. Caleb McGray is a 3-year first-round pick who posted a grade of 62.4 this past season. Not going to get it done. Their left guard, Jalen Mayfield, posted an abysmal 49.3 overall grade. Matt Hennessy, the center, was great against the run with 89.1, but subpar against the pass at 50.5 for that grade. And now they're bringing all 3 of those guys back, and they're just older, and they haven't made any significant contributions to the line. They didn't take a lineman early in the draft. They didn't sign anyone. They signed people to compete with these guys, but these guys are objectively not that good, and they've proven to be that they're not probably going to be NFL starters at this point. So you're basically bringing in backup level talent to fight for your starting level position. It's not a good look. And with a guy like Marcus Mariota and a rookie like Desmond Ritter, that's going to be tough if they don't have time.
Yeah. It's not a perfect situation to walk into. But damn, man. I feel like this guy's got some chips, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
where the hell is the Marcus Mariota's head at right now? You know what I mean? Is this
Yeah.
like his last shot, right?
Oh, 100%.
He
Yeah,
never
this
even
is
got anything in Oakland, Vegas, or whatever. He was in both towns. So, fuck, dude. If he's either, you got to put up or shut up. And not having the O-line boosted puts it more squarely on his capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a while since we've seen him do anything. So I'm so confused about this team. This team's hard to talk about for me.
Yeah. It's I mean, it is what it is. I think they're kind of okay with being bad, finishing bottom 3, which I think is a very, very high possibility for this team. The shaky defense, not to mention the line I just mentioned, and then the quarterback situation. There's a very good chance that this team finishes below 4 wins.
Yeah, and that'd be great for them. They're suffering some other issues. I say great for them. Like, they could use a franchise quarterback next year in the draft, which could, potentially bump up some of these guys we're talking about. As far as the fantasy world, we already know what's going on here. It's a Drake London show. It's a Kyle Pitts show. We'll get into those guys. But first, I want to ask you a question. What if there was a moment where a guy could overcome some iffy years that led him to getting shipped out of town to join a new team? What if he could triumph and become a champion any given Sunday? What if Auden Tate could be the number 2 wide receiver on this team?
Woo!
Woo! I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's between him and Bryan Edwards, baby. Someone's got to... I don't know where you're at with Olamide Zaccheaus, but my money is on these other fellas.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'd probably give it to Bryan Edwards there, but I mean, either one, let's do it. It'll be an interesting position battle at camp to go along with the Mariota and Ritter competition.
Yeah, we didn't really there's not a lot of position battles in Carolina to follow, but yeah, between the starting quarterback job and the number 2 wide receiver job, and I don't know, the running back room.
The backup running back position is actually, I have a little sleeper in there. I think Damian Williams is worth a potential injury stash. That guy is proven he can be effective when called upon. Cordero Patterson's 31 years old. Like, I don't know. Then he's just splitting time with Tyler Algier. Like, there's a lot of like interesting little battles going on this team. I just don't think it leads to them being very good still.
No. But at the end of the day, the lowest passing team in the league is going to put up 3,000 yards. Mm-hmm. And they're going to score at least, what did New York get, a dozen touchdowns last year? So fantasy points are going to be on the table. And, we're going to get into it a little bit later, but they allowed the third most points last year. So if you look at a team that's hemorrhaging points, they're going to be having to move the ball. And so someone around here is going to get a ton of looks. Yeah. Obviously, our money is on the young pass catchers, right? Mm-hmm. But when you look at a running back room like this, I'm with you. I think Damian Williams has the between the 20s work, and I think he's going to be a startable asset. Mm-hmm. Kind of, I want to pick him up. But, like, God, it feels so weird. Cordero Patterson without Matt Ryan, I think, takes a huge step back.
Oh, big time.
And then Tyler Algier has red zone monster written all over him. Monster as in, like, the 2 times a game that team's in the red zone. It's going to be between him and, some of these pass catchers. Don't forget, Drake London's one of the best contested catchers to come out in quite some time, so... Yeah. That might just end up being some red zone action right there. But while we're talking about Drake London, if you guys haven't heard about him, he's a big guy, pretty athletic, played basketball in high school, and went to USC for the past couple of years. And this is the old USC, not the United States cash USC that we got now, where they're just paying everyone to come play for them. This is the old USC, the pure USC. And they're putting out some good guys, man. A little flash in the pan with Amon Ra last year. And before that, you got Mr. RB1, Michael Pittman coming out of there. But even though he's on the same team with these guys, he was still turning heads. Even as a true freshman, he was making plays happen. So I'm just saying, you need to get that ass on your roster. Otherwise, suffer years of defeat at his hands, man. He is coming for you. He's going to tear you up. And when they finish worst in the league or second worst, and they get that quarterback, that Bryce Young or whoever's coming out for him, he's going to be a perennial wide receiver 1. So you got to get on that Drake London action while you still can. But Kyle Pitts is also on this team, right?
Oh, yeah.
You want to talk about a guy who, unless someone has something else to say about Drake London, I think I covered it.
Oh, no, I think you wrapped it up very nicely. I want him pretty bad. I'm probably not going to get him in any leagues I'm in, but yeah.
Watch the high school basketball footage.
Oh, my God, dude, the high school basketball highlights. Yeah, people were crying in that. Anyway, yeah, I want him bad too, man, but like you're saying, you can't have them all. You can't have 4 aces every time, so.
No, unfortunately. But yeah, you want to talk about Kyle Pitts. He's my league winning sleeper, even though that's not that much of a sleeper. It's hard on this team. But Kyle Pitts was 5 touchdowns away from being the tight end 3 on the year, and he only had 1 touchdown. So basically, if he just does what he did and actually scores touchdowns, he only needs 6, and he'll be right behind Travis Kelce. So I think as a guy who swears by having a dominant tight end, getting Kyle Pitts early in your Dynasty startup draft, I think is a good idea. I don't necessarily know if I'll pay the price for him, so I may be like already flying in the face of my own advice. But like, it just would be crazy to have a guy like that at that age and just be able to ride out for years and years and years.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to saying 4 aces, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's a sacrifice to get a player like that on your roster because you're going to have to miss out. I say it's too hot, man. Too hot to touch. I love to see it, but I'm going to have to watch from afar. It's too rich for my blood.
I tend to agree. This team was a lot harder. There's nobody else on this team that I could actually stand and defend that they could win a league yet, other than Drake London, but it's hard with a rookie. So that was where I went because I just wanted to pick a guy for each team. But yeah, I don't think I'll take him, but I do think if you can snag him, if he ever falls at all, you need to be snagging him. And if you want to get him at his ADP, I do not blame you.
Yeah, no shame, man. Between him and Mark Andrews,
yeah,
they're kind of 2 of a kind, you know. The rest of the guys are waffling right now, not really worth it. So,
100%.
Yeah, man, he's definitely that league-winning sleeper right there. I'll give you that. As far as pure sleeper, it could be anybody on this team.
Yeah, I can't go ahead.
There's going to be fantasy points coming out of here. If they're concentrated, it's not that predictable.
No, it's really not. I had Bryan Edwards as a decent shout just because of his ADP, 227. So he's going undrafted in most Dynasty startups. You could grab him. I think that's a really good snag there. I actually think he's the number 2 in that offense.
Yes.
So I think that. And then I kind of already talked about it, but I do like Damian Williams this year as a depth add on any roster.
Heck yeah. Yeah, and it'd be offensive to not mention, Olamide Zaccheaus, who is, the incumbent wide receiver 2. He had pretty much nothing going on in 2021, but this team has changed so much that maybe he can. I don't know. I don't know if he really has any rapport. New quarterbacks, new coaching staff. No.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be more interested in him as because his contract's up at the end of the year, and maybe he moves on, and who knows, maybe ends up on a team with a superstar quarterback. I'd be willing to take a chance on that more than what I think he'll do this year in Atlanta.
That's true, and we have to assume Calvin Ridley comes back
at some point
to Atlanta next year.
It's ever looming.
I mean, at this point, you might as well just keep a fish on the line.
Are you willing to bet? Are you willing to bet on that?
No.
Neither is Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, shit, dude. We know. Yeah, he's not getting traded to Vegas. No, that's a gambling joke again. Not so good. Pretty bad.
He took a gamble on that one. I respect it.
That's true. Craps.
Well, anything to say on the defensive front?
I think it can be a definitely kind of like the Panthers, an improved unit, but they were 29th last year, so improved is kind of a relative term. They added Casey Hayward, which I like for depth behind AJ Terrell. It's not going to change their team entirely. I mean, Casey Hayward, I think he was an incredible player. He's not quite who he was, but he definitely helps from a depth perspective, being that second guy there. They spent 2 second-round picks immediately on defense. And I actually think Iba Kite, and that one is a hard one to pronounce, so if I mispronounce that, I apologize. But second-round pick out of Penn State, I think he could really help off the edge. PFF actually had him on their big board for the draft at 33, so basically fringe first-round pick there. Nice. So I think they did some things to improve, but they're not going to get there yet.
Yep. A long way to go. And how, like, it feels counterproductive to try to be that good for this team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Considering what, is clearly not their year. It just accept it and use it to strengthen your roster instead of to weaken your draft capital.
Yeah, and then find the pieces on your roster that you want to keep and like use it to start guys you may not have otherwise with a stronger roster, and you can maybe find a little diamonds in the rough there. But it's going to be a long season, Falcons fans. I feel bad for you.
Luda.
Yeah, get your feathers straight.
Nice. All right, well, let's move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I can't imagine there'll be too much to talk about, but let's give it a try. I mean, Bruce Arians is out. Byron Leftwich is in, the old offensive coordinator. I don't think much is going to change here. This is still going to be a Tom Brady-led offense. We're going to talk Lombardi, Lenny's there, rushing the ball, play actions. You got your beer? Okay. I think it's the same style with a little more depth with the addition of Russell Gage. Who knows where Chris Godwin will come back, but Russell Gage kind of does almost everything Chris Godwin does. Without Gronk, maybe a little less of the seam action, a little bit of more of this drifting over the middle with these two guys, but I don't think there's much to say from the coaching perspective than just little bits and pieces that will be changing. So I'll just kick it over to y'all.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of things not changing, I mean, Gronk's gone for now until about December when he calls Tom and just gets on for the playoff run, I think. So, but other than that, they didn't really do a whole hell of a lot. They ended their offensive line was second at the end of last year, ranked by PFF. Starting off this year at fourth. They had 2 big moves they needed to make. Three. They made 3 big moves, but they needed to make 2. They kept Ryan Jensen in the building. That was a big one at center. They absolutely fleeced the Patriots to get Shaq Mason for a bag of popcorn and I don't know what else. Just barely anything. I don't know how no one else got upset about that. But so Shaq Mason's over there now at guard. They lose Marpet. He retired, decent career. He had an 84 rating overall grade with PFF last year. But then they immediately replaced him with Luke Godicki. Again, these fucking names. This
Central Michigan.
But that was one of PFF's favorite picks of the second round to replace Marpet. Alex Marpet. Ali Marpet? I can never remember his first name. This is a bad one. Ali Marpet. Okay. So, yeah, to replace him, and if that works out, but he's got 4 other studs on that line to learn around and who can kind of cover for him. So he's going to be able to learn, and the Bucs are going to have one of the best offensive lines in the league, especially when you got Tom Brady who can read your defense before they even line up. So, the O-line's going to be good. It's going to help them continue to be good.
Yeah, they're going to miss Alex Kappa, gone to the Bengals.
Yeah.
That's going to fuck them up a little bit. But I like that Luke Giodecki, Central Michigan guard.
Yeah.
Because of what Lou Nichols did. he was like the badass underground running back in the college football world last year. So, guards are really pivotal in the rush game. So that makes me have a lot of respect for this pick right here. So, ton of
Hard
potential.
nose.
Fuck
Right
yeah,
there
man.
in the middle.
Love
it.
that. Okay, well, let's just get straight into it then. We're going with Tom Brady, a.k.a. Cyberdyne Systems Model 101. It doesn't feel pity or remorse or fear, and it absolutely will not stop ever until you are dead. So Tom Brady finished as the quarterback 3 last year, and he had a career high of QB2. What's up? I don't think that he's going to best that quarterback 3 performance. When you look at Gronk, that's going to be some easy targets, some easy first downs, some easy touchdowns that he's missing. There's the delay possible with Chris Godwin. And then, Antonio Brown did exist. I do think Russell Gage is a huge upgrade on AB as far as like late career AB. So, yeah, Russell Gage finished. I'll just roll straight into him. He was a wide receiver 38 last year with the top performance of wide receiver 37. And I think he's headed for the best season of his career.
I think so too. Danny and I traded him in the league, and I'm starting to kind of regret that decision. It made sense at the time, but speaking on AB, like you were, he was averaging 8.8 targets a game when he played last year. And that includes the game that he only played half against the Jets. So that one brought it down, but still basically 9 targets a game. And then, yeah, like you're talking about with Chris Godwin out, I think Gage could like sneaky win you several games at the beginning of the year. And then when Godwin comes back, I really don't see that production dropping that much. As long as he builds that confidence with Tom Brady, and his ADP right now in Dynasty startups is 152. So
Yikes.
Damn near undrafted. And you could get this guy. I think he's a steal.
Yeah, I absolutely think he's a steal. He had 7 double-digit games last year, with 3 of them being over 20 points, and he didn't have more than a single touchdown in any of those games. So these aren't bloated. It means that he was putting in work, he was catching the ball, he's getting yards after the catch, in that Atlanta offense that we were just talking huge dog shit on. So I think if he was willing to put in the work in that system, if he puts in the work in a Tom Brady offense, it's just going to equal results. Yeah. I think we're looking at like the Hunter Renfrow of 2021 with Russell Gage right now. I think he's going to come out hyped as fuck. They're going to talk about him like they've been talking about Tim Patrick, But the thing is, Tim Patrick's never finished above wide receiver 40, and Russell Gage has done it twice now. So I think we're looking at a guy that's not getting the respect he deserves, and especially with the Godwin stuff, it's going to just equal results.
100%. I have him. I don't know if I said it, but that was who I picked as the league-winning sleeper potential. I think especially where you can get him in your drafts, like – I think that guy pops off, and if he has a Hunter Renfrow 2021 season and you get him in the 15th round, like that's going to destroy the other league, your league mates, as long as the rest of your draft made sense.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if that doesn't get you, also the personal phone call from Tom Brady to come to the team.
Yeah.
So there's a role.
Muhammad Sanu told me about you. I'm just... That's a throwback joke. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. That's awesome. The personal call. Well, we can't not talk about Me13, Mike Evans. He had a wide receiver 9 year last year and a career high of wide receiver 2. I personally look for him to improve on the wide receiver 9 year. And I could just be sniffing my own farts over here, but I am all about Mike Evans. I said it before, and I'll say it again. His 2 years with Tom Brady have been his career best marks and touchdowns, 13, then 14. You know, all that same stuff is going on, except now he doesn't have Gronk taking similar targets away from him. And then you've got the Godwin delay, which I'll just keep bringing up. I'll be calling it the Godwin situation. So for me, I think, honestly, man, I think Me13 is the wide receiver 1 in 2022.
Oh, goodness.
Call me crazy. Last year, he had 8 games without a touchdown. Basically missed 2 whole games and still finished as the wide receiver 9. So it's not an exaggeration. The void could easily be filled. And the last 3 years have been his lowest target numbers of his entire career. So if he gets a little more action thrown his way and keeps a linear productivity with what he's been doing, it's undeniable.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, I don't necessarily think he'll be the wide receiver 1. I think he could go up, or I don't think it'll go down. That's for damn sure. I think he'll be a top 10 receiver like he always is. He's kind of like, if I did a running back longevity thing, like with wide receivers, he'd probably be the Ezekiel Elliott of that whole debacle, where he's just consistently good no matter what happens, even though people tend to overlook him sometimes. So I'm with you. I do think there may be a different recipient of some of the Gronk work, and I'm really kind of getting into the idea of Kate Otten as a sleeper tight end pick. I think, obviously, you know, Cameron Brate's still there, but Cameron Brate might just do what he did last year, and Otten could have been brought in to kind of supplement that Gronk role. So I'm pretty interested in that. So I don't know that like all of it's going to go to Mike Evans, which could, that's why I think I have him as like a stay. Like I think he'll be right around 9, maybe a little higher. Doubt he'll be lower. But yeah, I like it though. It makes sense what you're saying for sure.
Hell yeah, buddies. So now we have to talk about the running back room, right, Rojo? Yeah. No more. So it's Leonard Fournette getting that extension, getting that $7 million a year. So he's the guy all the way. No one else is even going to get a single touch in this offense.
Yep, let's move on.
So done deal. No, Rachaad White, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to get some of them passes that are out the door with AB not being there and Gronk not being there. And Gio probably getting cut. This is just going to be the 1-2, and eventually it'll just be a 1. By the time the snow falls, it'll be all white. Lenny will be riding the pine. Just saying, man.
I'm 100% with you. I think White is going to sneak in. He's going to sneak in and take a little bit more work than I think people are anticipating, and I do not think Leonard Fournette finishes as the RB6. That is...
I didn't even put that shit on there. Yeah, definitely not. Well, sweet action.
Yeah, and then the defense, I mean, they pretty much just brought everyone back. I think losing Sue but gaining Akeem Hicks is kind of an underrated move. I like that a lot. But really, it remains the same. It's held together by some aging veterans and then some young superstars, so I don't see any reason why they're not going to be just as good, if not better, as they were last year. So, yeah, it's going to be a sick team. They're going to head to the playoffs. You know.
Yeah. I worry about the secondary a little bit, losing Jordan Whitehead.
I think that's fair.
Just a little bit.
That's fair for sure, yeah.
I mean, they were elite.
Mm-hmm. But that's kind of what I mean, though, is like even if they take a step down from elite status, it's not going to be that drastic, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it'll change. They might be a little worse. They might be a little better because largely they're still the same.
I love it. Yeah. Damn. Same with the O-line, you know, even though some pieces have changed, you know, the integrity remains. And this draft is beautiful. I love how they did their draft.
Yeah. Draft made a lot of sense.
Damn. They took a punter. That's fucking ballsy. 4th round punter. We need him. Hell yeah.
Well, all right.
Let's go marching in, baby.
Well, let's go.
I should have wore the Kamara jersey. What the
No,
hell
you
is
can't
wrong
wear it
with
till
I'm
game-
leaving my jerseys here.
You can't wear it till game 6.
Fuck.
No, I mean, we're gonna march right into the Saints, and honestly, man, this division with the coaches is not very interesting. You got Dennis Allen taking over for Sean Payton, Peter Carmichael at the offensive coordinator position. Carmichael been there since 2009. Dennis Allen been the defensive coordinator since 2015. They're not Sean Payton, but I assume they're going to try to do their best Sean Payton impression. Worst quarterback, better receivers? I don't know. So I think the skill positions is where we need to talk about. So let's send it on over to y'all.
Yeah.
After we talk about the offensive line.
Oh, I thought you were changing the order on me. No, yeah. So the Saints, they ended last season ranked 18th by PFF in overall grade. They start this season ranked 21st. They're going to rely very heavily on Trevor Penning, a guy I liked a lot coming into the draft. So I think he can do it. He's got to replace Teron Armstead. That's no small task by any means. But Armstead only played 9 games last season. His replacement, James Hurst, was average at best when he replaced Armstead, getting a grade of 69.8. I think Penning has a chance to be well above that if he can kind of get his feet rolling. Unfortunately for the Saints, James Hurst, with that kind of subpar average, was the second highest graded player on that offensive line. Calvin Throckman was not good when subbing in for Andres Pete, a grade of 43.4. So the return of Pete is going to help them a lot because Throckman can kind of go back on the bench, kind of work on what he needed to do. But they'll need a bounce back season from Cesar Ruiz. But even if they get all that, it's still going to rely on Penning, and that's going to be the really interesting thing, especially with a quarterback who does tend to turn the ball over. If he's going to be under pressure a lot while this offensive line kind of stabilizes itself, it might be like a not so fun start for the Saints.
Yeah. Yep. There's not a lot to be. This not so fun start for the Saints is probably a very, very good umbrella statement. Because that's kind of how I feel about this whole team. I guess I could just get straight into it, but I think Olave is going to take a little time. Michael Thomas hasn't played for a while. It's going to take a little time. And obviously the almighty Alvin Kamara is going to need a little time. So it's going to be a little rough. It's going to be a rough start. But they got the guy. They got Jameis. They got Jameis Winston, Quarterback 32 last year with a career high as quarterback 4. Ooh, and that was his last full season, if you guys remember that one. I don't think it counts, on his resume because there were 30 picks and 33 touchdowns. So that was awesome for fantasy managers, but it obviously had a one-way ticket out of the Tampa Bay from that one. So good luck. My main question, I'm just asking questions on this one because I don't have deep depth. I've kind of shot all my shots here, but so anyone jump in, steal the scene. But is Taysom dead, man?
Yes.
Did that shit die with Peyton?
Yes, because it never should have been a thing.
Okay. Yep, I agree.
It was just Peyton's pet project. I don't know. But I'm with you about Winston, man. ADP of 106 in Superflex startups. That's the QB 24. I think he could blow by that. I really like the combination of Olave and Landry. I'm just going to ignore Michael Thomas until we know what the fuck is going on with him, because now there's reports he still is having issues with the ankle, I guess. So I'm just going to ignore Michael Thomas for now. But even so, Chris Olave and Jarvis Landry are really good combination. I'm just going to say it right now. My league-winning potential sleeper is Chris Olave. I've moved him up in front of Treylon Burks for immediate rookie impact. I think he can blow it away with that. I think Jameis Winston throwing the ball deep to Mr. Smooth is going to happen. It's going to happen often. And he's the best version of what they tried to do with like Deontay Harris and people like that last year. They have the best version of that right now. And there's nobody in that room outside of Jarvis Landry that holds a candle to Olave. And I'd still probably rather have Olave at this point in Jarvis Landry's career, even though Jarvis Landry, super underrated in my opinion. But Jameis Winston averaging 16.6 points per game last season when he played. I think that could go up. I think the weapons were really, really bad. It's going to hurt not having Kamara. That's going to throw him off. And there's not a ton of depth there behind Mark Ingram. Dwayne Washington, Tony Jones Jr., and Abram Smith are all kind of fighting for that second running back role there.
Say word.
So, I actually kind of like this team. Weirdly, I think the defense is going to keep them in when they're having that rough beginning period. This defense is stout. Everywhere they lost people, they brought people in. They brought in Marcus May to replace Marcus Williams, even the same first name, like there's
Couple Marcuses. Fucking keep the same number, call it good.
And then I think, Tyrann Mathieu, while he's maybe not as good as he used to be, he's still going to be awesome in that secondary. And then the defensive line of the Saints is really impressive. So I actually kind of like the Saints as a sneaky good team this year.
Well, they have a real problem on their hands. They won't allow themselves to fail. Every year they push, whether they should be pushing or not, they need to stop. They need to take a breath. They need to get some draft capital. I don't see them getting inside the top 10 picks this year or next year. And that's okay. They make it work. Obviously, they needed pick 11 to get Mr. Smooth in that wide receiver room. And just like you said, man, I think he really matches up perfectly with that YOLO Winston lifestyle, except he has the skills to get the separation to make that actually work. I mean, it worked before, right? But it didn't always work. But the LASIK and Mr. Smooth, you never know. I'm all for it. Just echoing everything you said, I'm not a believer on the Michael Thomas bounce back until I see it. Age 29, whatever. But he is under contract through 2025. That's a huge thing. He's not going away. So if he can play, he's going to be demanding targets, I think.
For sure.
But one thing I'll say is that I think during a pending Kamara suspension, I think Jarvis Landry comes out of the gate and really mops up some of that like intermediate pass game work that Kamara is known for. So I think he could come out with a lot of juice and kick the door down. But speaking of Kamara, man, last year he was the RB8 in only 13 games. And his high was RB1 in 2020. That was only in 15 games. Kind of feel like he can miss 6 games and still be top 15.
Oh, yeah.
So we did see a huge decline in his target numbers when Drew Brees left. But he still managed to match his career high receiving touchdowns last year. So he's still getting that red zone, those high volume, red zone, high quality fantasy targets. So I don't know, man. He took a lot more carries than he typically would, with Drew Brees last year. And so it all comes down to if someone can get traction while he's away, that's the only thing holding him back. So
I don't really see that happening either. Mark Ingram's a little too old to kind of get the traction, but
I'm with you.
I don't know. I'm with you 100%. Kamara is going to be sick. His points per game is going to – it doesn't matter that he misses 6 games. I'm fine at taking him where his ADP is now and waiting 6 games 100% of the time. I mean, you got to worry about the future maybe, but for this season, yeah, I love getting him at week 7 and riding out.
Is there any tight end you want to talk about with this team?
No.
Okay. Yeah, Adam Troutman, he has to take a step forward, missed some time last year, health, but I'm not rostering him straight up.
Straight up.
Yeah, I mean, even I mean, Jameis Winston's never really thrown to his tight ends. It's the whole reason what OJ Howard was supposed to be the incredible tight end that never took off. And maybe it's not OJ Howard's fault or Winston's fault. Maybe it's a combination, but they never got the ground started. And I can't think of a time a tight end was really worth it playing with Jameis Winston. Not consistently.
Not ever. Okay, well, Saints, have fun with Dirty Dan Sorensen. He's in there as well. So KC South, you and Tyron going to be bunkmates again or whatever. So make it happen. Love to see it.
Right on, man. Well, let me ask, who wins this division, boys?
The Bucks.
The Bucks.
Bucks, yeah.
No
Yeah,
doubts.
that was pretty easy. So,
I mean, the Saints have like a decent chance if the Bucks have to deal with some injuries, but
The fucking
no.
Saints,
Other than
man.
that, yeah,
hey, that is Tom Brady's kryptonite right there, and they got to play
yeah,
him
dude.
twice.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You think they'll split with the Bucks, and if the Bucks kind of lose some footing, you never know. But that's the only team that has an outside chance, and it's not a good one.
What if 2020 Baker kicks the door down and CMC plays 17 games?
I think the defense holds them back, but that would make them a very interesting offense and probably a borderline playoff team if the offense was working like that. Yeah.
That'd be a fun division if that happened.
Yeah. There's just so many question marks in this division.
Yeah,
For sure.
except for the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
So it's
except
like
them.
it's pretty
They're just-
easy to slide them into the one. So let me ask you this: who's the number one QB out of this division?
Well, I mean, like Tom Brady, but
Yeah. Cyber9 Systems Model 101.
Well, we're gonna rank these all, and then we'll rank the division leaders at the end. So I have to ask, what about the running back out of this position?
That's got to be Christian
CMC.
McCaffrey.
Yeah.
CMC.
Yeah. Now, this is going to be fun, to track top
Ooh,
guys from all 8 divisions.
You know what? Is there an
shit.
argument for Kamara?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
there
they
is.
both missed 6 games.
For sure there is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking like
If I saw the odds, I would probably put the money on Kamara. But if I'm saying all
Yeah,
the
I want-
unknowns,
I want Kamara at his ADP way more than Christian McCaffrey at his ADP.
without a doubt,
So I'll go Kamara.
we got to
actually.
get this startup done.
All right, we're going Kamara. All right.
Okay, I'm in on
So
that.
obviously Daniel's saying me 13.
Me 13. I don't know if I just started that, but I'm sticking with the me 13.
Christian,
That's
who,
a
do
good
you,
one.
who,
That's
who do
good.
you have ranked as the number one receiver in this division?
I mean, that's probably a good shout, Mike Evans. I mean, the second guy would be Godwin, maybe.
DJ Moore.
DJ
baby.
Moore, yeah, like he'd be in there. It'd be Godwin or Moore because you can't really throw the rookies in, even if maybe one day they will be, like Drake London might be, but you got to see it. So yeah, I'd probably go Mike Evans.
I think that's a good call. After you ran down the lineman situation, I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I guess I will be keeping Godwin this year. All right, do we have a tight end favorite? I think it's Kyle Pitts.
For sure.
Definitely Kyle
No
Pitts,
doubt.
yeah.
All right, well, we got this NFC South. Winners locked in: Tom Brady, Alvin Kamara, me 13, Kyle Pitts. So as we go through, we'll come at the end and recap everything and find out, rank these fellas.
We'll definitely come at the end.
Hey, make sure everyone does. Pro tip.
Well, I'm looking at all these other.
I can't stop subscribing.
I'm looking at all these other questions. I feel like we covered it in session, unless there's anything that sticks out to you fellas.
No, just, obviously feisty rookies. It's going to be Olave and London are the big names. And Rashad White. Rashad White. So fuck yeah, man. This is fun. This division
Yeah.
rocks. Not really. Fuck this division, but
Yeah, it's a good ease into the divisions, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's not that big a deal.
I had a ton of fun with it, so.
Oh no, I had fun with it. I'm really on the Alive hype train.
I know, man. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure I could get him straight up for Sky Moore, and that's really tough. That's really hard.
Do it.
Yeah, I'll just send it. Fuck it, dude. I'm not competing this year anyway.
All right. Well, we're out. NFC South.
Peace.